Good morning, Harbor.
Good morning.
Thank you for that. Good morning to those online, and good morning to those on their way. We're going to go ahead and get our Sunday morning started by welcoming in our light. Thank you. And now let's go ahead and stand together and join in song this morning with Open the Eyes of My Heart. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Lord, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Lord, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. You high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Lord, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. You're so holy, holy, holy. We cry, holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. You're so holy, holy, holy. We shout, holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Lord, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Lord, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you.
Good morning, Harbor. Good morning to those who just came in, and say hello to your neighbor.
We got a small crowd today. We got a small crowd today. Yeah. People are just like, it's been hot for 4 days. I'm not leaving. It was hot last night.
Feel free to continue saying good morning. Move at your own pace back to your chairs, standing as we move into our second song of worship this morning, Beautiful Things. This will be a new one for us, and it'll be with us for the next couple weeks.
All this pain, I wonder if I'll ever find my way. I wonder if my life could really change at all. All this earth, could all that is lost ever be found? Could a garden come up from this ground at all? You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. All around, hope is springing up from this old ground. Out of chaos, life is being found in you. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. You make me new. You are making me new. You make me new. You are making me new. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust.
Please be seated.
Amen. Thank you so much, praise band. What a beautiful new song. Good morning, church. Good morning, and good morning to those who are joining us on Zoom. We will begin this morning with our call to worship, call and response, I should say. If you will please join me in the bolded words. We who are thirsty long for water. God will cause water to spring up for us. We who are weak long for strength. God will strengthen our hearts and bodies. We who are broken long for restoration. God will bring the pieces of our world together. Let us imagine together a world made whole. Restoration. Maybe you caught that word in our call and response. When I think of this word, I imagine restoring something old and making it new again. I think about how some people restore things. People can restore antiques, homes, buildings, and make them new. When something is restored, it's made or brought back into its original or natural condition. What would it look for us to restore ourselves into our own natural conditions? If God made us beautiful and perfect in God's own image, to love and care for the earth, to be a part of creation, what can restoration look like for us in our community, in our homes, and in our bodies? Please join me in our prayer of transformation. Holy God, it is so easy for us to focus on what is broken, lamenting that it may never be fixed. Forgive us when our laments turn to obsessions that hold us down and make brokenness a self-fulfilling prophecy. Remind us that you are God who restores. Renew our hearts for imagination again today. Amen and amen. We have one special birthday coming up this week, but we have quite a few birthdays this month in general. So we're going to send some love from afar to Isabella, who is having a birthday this Saturday. Is that right? Do we know how old she's turning? 16. Oh, you're here. I didn't see you, Caroline. Hi. Happy birthday to you, and happy birthday to Isabella. We'll send her some love from afar. And yes, I love the graphics. Thank you. And so those of you who have a September birthday, I know there's quite a few of you, we have cake for you after church. So we hope that you will stay and snap a quick little picture. And everyone else, even if it's not your birthday, you still get cake. So please join us after church for some cake. And I think that's all we have for this week. If I can please call up our children and youth for a moment before Children's Church. Good morning. Cute skirt. Hi, friends. How are you? Good morning. So this morning, we have been talking about this big word, restoration, right, so far. And in Big Church, you're going to hear some more about it. But in Children's Church, we're going to talk about something else. We mentioned that when you restore something, you take something that's old and you fix it and you bring it back to its natural or original condition. But before restoring that thing, what needs to happen in the first place? Yeah, Hazel. You have to get it. It has to be made, right? It has to be created before it can get old and then become restored. Angelina?
Maybe you have to recognize that it needs to be restored.
Maybe you have to recognize that it needs to be restored. that awareness of the thing that needs the love and the care and the restoration. And so I love that in big church and in children's church, we're going to be talking about two sides of the same coin. In children's church, we're talking about creation today. When everything started, we talk about the land and the animals and the people who were created to help care for all of these things and notice when it's ready for it to be taken care of again and restored and be made new. So as we head into children's church, I want us to think about the start of things. That may be, maybe you remember when you first started school. Anyone remember when you first started school, when you were a little baby? Some of you might remember. But most of you remember when you just started school a couple weeks ago or recently, right? That new thing started because something else ended. And we keep coming back to this idea of life being like a circle, like a cycle. And these are all natural things that we see in the world. So we'll keep that in mind as we head into children's church. Are we ready to go worship? Yes. Let's go. I would like to call up Gary Devine for our mission moment this morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So today I want to talk about something that might seem a little surprising at first, the lottery. We often think of the lottery as a possible terms for fulfilling our dreams. But today I invite you to think of it through a different lens, one that inspires faith, community, and generosity. Imagine for a moment that you buy a lottery ticket. You dream of what you could do with that prize money. A new home, a car, perhaps a vacation. If you're like me, you think about that awesome fishing boat you've wanted for so long. But then, as you wait for the drawing, a thought strikes you. What if that money weren't just for you? What if it could be used to bring joy and support to those around you? Picture the moment the numbers are drawn and you win. You're giddy with excitement, but instead of rushing to claim your fortune, you look around at the desperate needs in your community. You see families requiring shelter, children in need of food, people searching for hope. Suddenly, this potential windfall takes on a new meaning. Instead of simply enriching your life, it could bless the lives of so many others. In the same way, God calls you to be stewards of the blessings we already have. He invites us to see the abundance in our lives, not solely for personal gain, but as a means to uplift others. Much like the chance of winning the lottery, we have a chance to make a choice every day. We can choose to hoard our blessings, or we can invest them in our community, in our church, and in the lives of those who need it most. So today, as we gather together in this sacred place, I encourage each of you to reflect on how you can use the blessings you've received in your life. What if we viewed our giving much like the purchase of a lottery ticket for our community? What if every dollar we donate, every act of kindness we show, was an investment in the kingdom of God? Let us be inspired by the potential we have to multiply our blessings and touch lives in a way that may never fully be comprehended. As you contemplate your contributions today, remember that every act of generosity plants a seed that can blossom into something magnificent. You can give online at the address on the screen or at the plates in the back of the church. Lord, we ask that you take these offerings and bless them and put them to your good use. Amen.
Thank you, Gary. Actually, I'm going to need this, aren't I? We're doing prayer. Good morning, everyone. How are you? You're hot too? Yeah. Anyone not hot? Well, I did a thing. I chopped my hair this week. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but I did it. It was really long, and now it's pretty short, so that was kind of fun. I got a few prayers I want to lift up to you all from our community. First of all, I wanted to be in prayer for Judy and Max, who found themselves ill this week. So let's be sending along our prayers for healing to the two of them. Judy's feeling a lot better. I haven't spoken to Max, but Jeanette, I think, said that he's doing better as well. So let's just keep them in prayer for healing. I also want us to be in prayer this week for Paula and Elaine, because on Saturday, Paula, what are you doing on Saturday? She's leaving for Athens, Greece. And they'll be traveling together. So we want to pray for their safety, for their health on the trip, and just for a really joyful, wonderful, restful time, okay? So please be in prayer for them this week. And then how long are you going? About a week? Okay, so then we'll be praying for him. Okay, so it's about a week travel. Be praying for Paula and Elaine, and then there are two other traveling companions. They're going on a cruise. You're going to be safe, but that's a big trip, so we're excited for you. I also wanted to just quickly lift up Ryan. Y'all know he's been doing a lot of brain scans and tests after the accident, and we did get the results on one of them, and there is some damage. And it's been hard to just accept that and take that, and nothing, overwhelming. It's probably stuff that nobody other than the ones the closest to him would ever even notice, but he's just asking for prayers. Just hold him up. It's been a rough season, and he's doing really well with all of it, but could just use a little bit of support and prayer from the community. And I just wanted to lift in prayer Jeanette. She's supposed to be on vacation today, but because of Max's kind of sudden illness, it was and then Ryan, who today, he's okay today. He just had said yes to preaching for a neighbor church, Fairview Community Church. They needed a pastor this morning because their pastor was gone. So we feel a little short-handed this morning, and Jeanette was just Jeanette and said, I'll do my next Sunday off. She's not doing a staycation. So it didn't interrupt travel plans. And I told her, are you sure? But she, she's just that person who does that. So I'm really just feeling a lot of gratitude for her this morning and wanted to lift that up. Are there other prayers for the community? I also know we have prayers for our world, but are there other prayers for the community that we can lift up this morning? Anybody? Jean.
On Tuesday of this week,
It's on, but let's put it a little bit closer.
On Tuesday of this week, my wife Barbara, who's confined at home by her inabilities, but my wife and I are going to celebrate our 69th birthday. Wow. Anniversary. 69th anniversary. Thank you.
Wow. We need to make sure we get that date. I don't think we have that in our September 10th, 69 years. That's wonderful. We'll be praying for you guys. Thank you. Any other prayers in the community? Stephanie. Yeah, me too. Pat, for those of you on Zoom, Pat said, that's longer than I've been alive. I said, yeah, me too. Wow.
Not me.
Not Stephanie.
I would just like to ask for prayer for the fire that's burning in the San Bernardino Mountains. I have family and friends up there. Macy and Eric have family up there, and just keep them in prayer. They are under evacuation warnings at this point, so I would appreciate prayer.
Thank you. We'll be in prayer for that fire and all those affected, and also for our earth that needs a little bit of care from us. Others present today, and then we'll turn to Zoom. Anyone on Zoom have a prayer for themselves, their community, and we'll also expand for those present for the world. We'll just give a moment to see if anyone on Zoom wants to share. Annabelle. And then we'll get to Caroline. Go ahead, Annabelle.
Hi, okay. I had opted for text because I don't know that I can keep it together. Prayer request for my son Anthony, who is struggling again with alcohol addiction. It's just getting bad, and he's in town here in Vegas right now, and there's just no helping a person who's not ready to be helped. So I hope Spirit moves him to do what he's supposed to do for himself and for everybody who loves him, but mostly for himself.
Thank you, Annabelle. We're going to be praying for Anthony. And I know many of you in our community have someone you love dearly or yourself have struggled with addiction. It's a heavy thing. It's a heavy burden. So we're going to be wrapping Anthony in prayer so that, as Annabelle said, he can step onto that path himself. We can't force people. So thank you, Annabelle. Anyone else on Zoom have anything they'd like to share this morning?
Sadie?
Margreta, we can hear you.
I would appreciate prayers for my continuing restoration and also for my daughter Kathleen, who had a fainting spell over the weekend.
All right, thank you. Yes, let's continue to pray for Margreta's restoration. I love how you used Jeanette's word from this morning. And we'll be praying for your daughter also, Margreta, your whole family. Thank you. All right, Janelle says, I have 2 prayers. Keep my mom in prayer as she has an angiogram to determine what kind of surgery she will have. I also have a prayer of joy. My uncle in Idaho received a much-needed new kidney this week. Keep in your prayers as he heals and is living in another state until he can travel. That is good news. We've prayed before for Janelle's uncle, and I was really happy when she shared with me this week that had happened. So thank you, Janelle, for sharing. We'll be praying joyful prayers for your uncle and also just prayers of care for your mother. Anyone else on Zoom? Okay. I know we've had kind of a heavy week this week. It feels like every week is, so it almost feels weird to say that each week. It just feels like heavier and heavier as we're confronting again violence as soon as the school year starts for us here in this nation. And then at the same time, having to wrestle and grapple with the violence being done abroad, funded by our own government. Okay? And that's the truth, and we have to look at it. Violence happening in the world is largely happening because of the U.S. government and other Western powers that need to sit down and stop doing the violence. And we as the people have to have the courage to say so. So I'm just going to say it so we can all kind of breathe it in and feel really uncomfortable with that and feel really like this isn't what my country's supposed to be doing. And didn't we get taught we're the land of the free and the home of the brave? And isn't that the truth? Guys, we've been sold a whole lot of nonsense, and it's time for us to look at the truth so that we can build a new way. Those who look at the truth are not actually the negative people among us. They're the realistic people among us who are leading us to a new possibility. And so let's just kind of breathe in the pain, let it do the thing in our bodies that it needs to do, and then clear some space for us to move as individuals. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about a term that Caroline taught me called land tending, and how that extends to our own actual bodies, and that is actually the only thing we can really, really do to effectively heal our earth, is to look at ourselves as part of the earth and to begin healing ourselves. Does that make sense? So we're going to be talking a little bit about what that looks like in the context of Isaiah today. But I just wanted to lift that up because I know it's on your hearts, and we've got to just sort of speak some of these hard things, and then we pray and we drop in and we recognize the only change we can make is where? In ourselves. I wish it was more than that sometimes. But the reality is we shouldn't be out there trying to change the world when we haven't even looked at our own selves, should we? That's where we get into even more mess and trouble. So those are the things that are on my heart this week with our nation and our world. Of course, there are other things. We've heard about the fires in San Bernardino. That's a huge concern for us right here in this part of the world. Is there anything else that anyone just feels the need to speak out into community? Caroline.
Thanks. There's 2 ongoing land defense issues. Orange Heights is 400 acres in the Santa Ana Tustin area that I hope will not get developed. And then there's the Harupa Oak that it seems might get developed, and that's a 13,000-year-old oak in Riverside. We have such beautiful habitat, and I know that our health is linked to the health of the land, and so I pray for all those who are fighting to preserve the land and for a change of heart for those who are trying to do profitable business as usual.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Leslie.
I hesitated to share this at first because this isn't a family member, but it's my best friend. And one of her dogs attacked her other dog this week, and that dog had to be put down. And she also had to put down the aggressive dog. So she's lost 2 dogs this week, and her heart is broken. She can't even talk about it yet, but I hope we can pray for her.
What's her name?
Kathy.
Kathy. Thank you. We will be praying for Kathy, and I just want to remind all of us that our animals are part of our families too, okay? And I've shared after losing my dog almost a year ago now, just how that animal has helped me become a better person. Without his patience and kindness and ability to sit with me and some things that I wouldn't have shared with any human, I'm a better person because of him. And that's the effect our animals have on us. It's a very special relationship. It's not the same as a child. It's not the same as a friend or a family member, but it is in some ways, it's even deeper. Okay, so it's not about one's more or less important. It's all important, and it's all part of our healing, our growth, and our thriving. And so thank you for sharing that. And please, I want the community to feel like we are here to pray for your animals too. And we're here to pray for you when you've lost an animal, because we understand the pain of that. All right, I'm not going to remember all of those prayers today, but they're in my spirit, just like they're in yours. So let's pray together. Holy God, we come to you this morning sharing our hearts. And some of the things shared are beautiful things, like we heard sung about today, beautiful things that you've made out of the dust. And some of the things that we've shared are heavy, painful, hard-fought things. Some of the things we've shared, we're in the middle of the fight, whether it's a fight over a loved one who's being lost to addiction, or a fight to defend a 13,000-year-old tree that absolutely has the right to life. Whatever it is we're lifting up from inside of ourselves, God, we offer it to you as the only kind of offering you've ever asked for, laying it on the table for the community to love and care and tend. And so today, God, as we look at ourselves as part of the land, and we recognize our own health as wrapped up in the health of the land, be with us through these tedious, challenging conversations, and hold us not in a space of despair, but in a space of hope that we can make beautiful things, that we can call a garden out of the dust. You've given us that gift. You've shown us how to use it in the life and workings and teachings of your Son, Jesus the Christ. And we absolutely know how to walk this walk. And so, God, we just give thanks for that message, that ministry. We give thanks for the community here that's holding as we each in our own individual lives take our own individual steps. We lift all of it up in its holiness, in its messiness, in its absolute and utter beautiful chaos. We bless it. We give thanks. And we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Please remain seated and join us in singing Peace of God. to me, weary and burdened, I will give you rest. Come on in, all who are troubled, I will give you rest. For my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Enter in, and the peace of God will fall on you. Falling, falling, falling on you. The peace of God is falling, falling, falling on you. Come on in, all you broken hearted, I will give you strength. And if you cannot make it through another day, I will carry you. For my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Enter in, and the peace of God will fall on you. Falling, falling, falling on you. The peace of God is falling, falling, falling on you. Come to me, weary and burdened, I will give you rest. Come on in, all who are troubled, I will give you rest.
Amen. Thank you. It's beautiful. Okay, well, today's sermon is not quite as tedious for me as last week's 2 Kings adventure, but we're going to be speaking out of Isaiah today. And one of the things that I want us to talk about before we jump into Isaiah is how Christians have generally used the book of Isaiah. And that is as a prediction of what? Anyone know? The coming of Jesus. The idea, Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, is often used by Christian readers as a prediction of, you see, God's going to send the salvation one, the one who's going to lead you, and that is when the devastation will turn to the gardens. Does that make sense? That's how we've typically been given Isaiah. And today we're going to look at it a little differently, okay? Today we're going to look at Isaiah, which is a book that spans centuries, okay? Just that one book by itself spans centuries. And parts of the book were thought to have been written in the 8th century BCE. So we're talking about 8 centuries before Jesus is even a thing, okay? And I want us to dig into this scripture today as though it isn't a prediction of a future thing, but as though it is putting next to each other, right next to each other. We're going to read chapter 35, but we're going to talk a little bit about chapter 34 that juxtaposes utter and absolute devastation with the restoration of the garden. One chapter is about one, and the very next chapter speaks to the other. And so instead of seeing it as Jesus is coming, which we're past that now, right? Jesus has come. We have much to learn from Jesus. I want us to wonder, how did those ancient people live in the reality of devastation as they were building the hope for restoration? Does that make sense? So we're kind of going to look at it a little differently than what we've been trained as Christians to see. And I wanted to just kind of offer that as my sort of intro here. A couple of things about Isaiah before we jump in is that it is an unwieldy book. And this is I'm going to just share a few notes from Reverend Dr. Patricia K. Tull, who is a disciple pastor. And she wrote sort of a little mini exegetical piece on Isaiah for pastors. And she shared that it's an unwieldy book and can be daunting for preachers. Its words span several centuries through the life, death, and resurrection of the small country of Judah in the midst of international turmoil, okay? And we can kind of see that in our world today. If you look at your own life, the small country of Sadie or of Paula or of each one of us, trying to restore this in the midst of what? International or community turmoil. So we're going to kind of look at this slightly differently, and it isn't that it wasn't predictive of Jesus. In fact, Reverend Dr. Tull shares that, where is this piece? In Roman times, Jews, both in Jerusalem and in the sectarian Essene community at Qumran beside the Dead Sea, saw Isaiah as speaking rather directly and predictively to themselves. And then we, as church, inherited this inclination. Nearly all New Testament writers use Isaiah as a key to understanding Jesus. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not what I'm trying to dispute. I'm just saying that's not the only way to look at Isaiah. And so as a key, or as a result, Christians read Isaiah most often during the church's high seasons, Advent and Lent, and have long seen the book as predicting Jesus' coming to the audience of Jews who were not necessarily thinking of Jesus coming in the way that Jesus ended up coming. And because of this conditioning, even Christians, that's us, who want to read Isaiah in the book's own context and with interfaith sensitivity, we find that difficult to do. Okay, so we're going to try to do that today, and it's okay if your knee-jerk reaction is to say, no, that book is about predicting Jesus, because it does. One reading of it does do that, but there's other ways that we're going to kind of dig into today. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read Isaiah 35 for us, and we are going to get started. The return of the redeemed to Zion. The wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. The desert shall rejoice and blossom like the crocus. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given to it, the majesty of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord, the majesty of our God. Strengthen the weak hands and make firm the feeble knees. Say to those who are of a fearful heart, be strong, do not fear. Here is your God. He will come with vengeance, with terrible recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped, and then the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the speechless sing for joy. For waters shall break forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert. The burning sand shall become a pool, and the thirsty ground springs of water. The haunt of jackals shall become a swamp. The grass shall become reeds and rushes. A highway shall be there, and it shall be called the Holy Way. The unclean shall not travel on it, but it shall be for God's people. No traveler, not even fools, shall go astray. No lion shall be there, nor shall any ravenous beast come up on it. They shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there, and the ransomed of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with singing. Everlasting joy shall be upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. So some of those verses are quite familiar to us because we hear them oftentimes as shared during the Advent season and during Lent. But chapter 35, while it describes resplendent renewal, a hope that the renewal of nature will also return the people from exile to rebuild a broken Jerusalem. That's what we're seeing in 35. We hear beautiful nature scenes. Desert shall rejoice and blossom, strengthening of the weak hands and knees. For those with fear, the message of be strong is present. Eyes are opened, ears unstopped, speech restored. Water breaks forth in streams in the desert, and the burning sand turns to pools of water, and there's a highway, a holy way for God's people. So hearing these beautiful images, some of them are a little problematic for our modern ear. That wasn't lost on me. It's just not what we're focusing on today. But it may surprise some of you that just the chapter before describes utter environmental and social devastation. The chapter of 34, Isaiah, is filled with scenes that are horrible and hideous to listen to. Violence, destruction. Heavens disappear in chapter 34. The land is ruined. Streams and soil are poisoned, and only the scavenger animals remain. We hear about hyenas and jackals and ostriches that I was unaware were considered scavengers. In just one chapter, we see this shift from a painful and overwhelming devastation to the idea of a resplendent renewal. And our theme today, in looking at this, is the idea of a world made whole. So what does this all mean? And I think that we're called to look at stewardship through this lens of wholeness, because wholeness includes not just the resplendent restoration of chapter 35, but it also includes the utter devastation and loss and sorrow found in chapter 34. And when we as a world look at this idea of healing and wholeness, we often leave out the parts of ourselves that hurt, don't we? We think, oh, that's ugly and that hurts and I don't want to talk about it, so that's not part of my wholeness. I'm only whole once I can get rid of that. Has anyone else ever felt that way? Okay, that is not wholeness. Wholeness is when we can look at these parts of ourselves. In our scripture today, it's talking about the devastation, right? The horror, the panic, the pain. And instead of shame them and push them away and say, oh, I'm weak because I have this part of me, wholeness invites us to invite that to the table and to learn from it. Why am I feeling riddled with anxiety in the world today? Why? No matter what I do, my system feels anxious. Well, what happens when we stop ignoring that reality is we're seen. And as soon as you're seen, you can relax. Does that make sense? So this scripture is teaching us, as in its juxtaposition with chapter 34, it's teaching us wholeness is more than all the good stuff. In fact, we truly find our wholeness when we invite the hard things, the painful things, the heavy things onto the center of our table. And when it's there, it means it's going to be tended. It may not get fixed overnight, but we're aware of it. Do we see that? As long as those parts of ourselves remain in the shadows, we can never look at them. Have you ever talked to someone and told them something about themselves and they seem really surprised that you see them that way? Has that ever happened to you? Or have you ever heard someone tell you a reflection of yourself and thought, do they know me at all? When that happens, you're being given a gift. And it's a gift of your own shadow. Because we don't see our own shadows. We can't look at our own selves in the way that our community can look at us and say, why are you so anxious right now? Talk to me. I'm not anxious. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Okay, whatever you say. Have we ever been in those situations with people we dearly love, that all we want is to offer holding to them? Okay? So when we're given that opportunity, it's a gift to look at a part of ourselves or a part of our community that might feel a little bit uncomfortable. And that's what I see come out in our scripture today, because wholeness includes the heavy things and the painful things and the anxiety-building things. It's all part of a cycle. The barren land will eventually grow life, right? Has anyone ever watched a fire? I grew up on the canyons, so we would regularly have brush fires. And the year following the brush fire was the most green and beautiful year for lots of plant growth, tons of animals coming back to the area for the new growth of plants. Now, does that mean that we want to burn the whole place down? Of course not. It just means that if we can start looking at ourselves with wholeness and then look out at the world and the land with wholeness, we can stop living in fear. We can start making decisions based on what really ought to be instead of how afraid we are of the unknown things. It's literally what Jesus was teaching us, because until we ground ourselves and stop living through the lens of fear and anxiety and shame and all of the other things that we all put on our glasses in the morning, this is what I see the world with. We all do it. Until we can stop doing that, there's only so much that we can do to heal ourselves and our world. But as soon as we look at it, now a path opens. Does that make sense? When we lock it up in the closet, there's no path. It's just stuck in the closet. But as soon as we pull it out of the closet and we put it on the table, now the energy shifts and something can come. That is what our lesson is in these 2 chapters today. In Isaiah 35, what we see is a switching back and forth between human society and non-human society, the natural world. In Isaiah 34, we see the same thing, but it's through the lens of environmental and social devastation, right? If our land is destroyed, what does that do to our own physical bodies? Illness, sickness. This is one of the reasons that there is rising illness in our world. Our land, which includes our bodies, has been harmed, polluted, mistreated, shamed, shoved down, made to feel like it's not enough, cut up. Look at what we do to women in our society. Look at what women have to do to stay beautiful in our society. We're supposed to harm the land that God gave us. And when we pour love and care into those same bodies that have been given all kinds of judgment, all kinds of opposite of care, what happens when we start pouring love and care into our own bodies and our own systems? Slowly and gently, they start to come back to life. And sometimes when you first come into life, what happens with babies? They come in kicking and screaming, right? It's not comfortable, you guys. I'm on the healing path. Everything's good and dandy. No, we have to look at it first. And when we've gone generations, since 8 centuries before Jesus was born, is this scripture. Generations sweeping things under really, really big rugs, okay? Hiding really important truths in closets and locking them up with all kinds of security systems so we cannot get in there. So what does this generation that we find ourselves in right now that's saying we actually can't do that anymore? The closets are bursting open. The rugs are like a mountain in front of us. We can't even see each other through the rug anymore. Time to put it on the table. Is it going to be fun at first? No. No. When I started this deep healing work in myself right before COVID hit, and for me, I was jumped into this because of a devastating moment in my life. Oftentimes it's devastation that brings you to the point where I got to change some things. Okay, for me, that's what it was. And when I stepped onto that path, oh my gosh, I was not prepared for how hard it is to look at yourself. I was exhausted. I felt depressed. Even when everything else in my life seemed fine, I was depressed. Guess what I had to do? Embrace my depression. Love it. Honor it. Oh, baby, you're depressed because you've been sad about life and things that have happened to you and the earth and humanity your whole life. You're a sensitive soul who carries this with you. Embrace that part of yourself and watch it shift. Okay? Does that mean we don't need other things? Absolutely not. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm a spiritual teacher who sees in myself and others, there's a pathway for us to slowly pick ourselves toward wellness and care and health and healing. And that means a different thing for each one of you. This is not God's punishing you if you're sick. That's not what we're saying. It's saying, if you're sick, what does your body need? What do you need? When you're sick, do you need to be run ragged and go to work and have to prep food for everybody and have to do a million things? What do you need when you're sick? You need to be on your back, resting. You need someone to serve you and care for you. How many people in the world never get that? Our earth is sick. What does our earth need? Rest, love, care, your bare feet on her back. That's what our earth needs. You laying down and hearing her heartbeat. That's what she needs. What does your child, when they're sick, need? To lay on your chest and feel you breathe. To know, Mom's got me, Dad's holding me. Do we see how when we treat ourselves as the land, it gives us a process for how we might heal ourselves? And that doesn't mean it's a magic pill. Nobody's saying it is. But this is our way. This is what Jesus means when he talks about the narrow way. How do we pick ourselves through this world, taking care of ourselves when we're getting attacked by the jackals, shoved down by the desolation, knocked over by the absolute and utter pain and sorrow? How do we do this? We've got to take care of ourselves, and then in community, that makes it a little easier, right? Taking care of yourself all by yourself is a little harder than like this week. I'm sure Gary was helping Judy, who was sick, right? I'm sure he says just a little. Maybe next time it'll be a little more, but I also sometimes think Gary thinks his little is little, but other people might feel it as a lot, right? But how nice is it when you're ill and someone brings you a cup of tea, when someone prepares food for you, when someone sends you a message and says, just wanted you to know I was thinking of you. This is how we tend in community. The truth is we are flourishing and barren, just like the land. All of us, every single one of us. We also go through seasons each day, each month, each year. As our earth goes through seasons, so too do we go through seasons. Is there someone at the back here? Will someone see what that person needed? I think they're dropping a bag. I don't know if it's for us or it might be for Salim's. So our connection to the land, more and more, I'm seeing that is what is so healing for us as people. And it is also what has been taken from us. Okay, when we are able to collect or connect to the land, it becomes a healing source for us. And yet our world is set up so that it's quite difficult for us to actually have those connections. And for some people in our world, it's nearly impossible for them to have those connections. So I'm going to tell a little story about when I was teaching, and then we're going to have a little discussion. And then after the discussion, I'm going to share with you the new way that I am looking at something from my teaching career that I'm actually really proud of. And yet now, if I were to do it again, I'd do it a little differently, okay? So that's what we're going to kind of do right now. I'm going to tell you this story first, then we're going to break into groups, and we're going to talk about what it looks like to tend our own land and the land that surrounds us. And then I'm going to share for you how that new perspective after our discussion has shifted what I would have done 15 or 20 years ago when I was teaching students in the classroom. So as a teacher, I used to always try to find as many opportunities. I mostly taught high school, and I loved to find every opportunity possible to take kids on field trips. And part of why that was so important to me is because on my entire teaching career, I worked in areas where there was a lot of poverty and there was a lot of lack of transportation. And so a lot of our students had never, for example, been to the beach, even though they lived about 15-minute drive from the beach. Their whole lives were lived in these they weren't urban areas, they were sort of like desert suburban areas. There wasn't a lot of park space, there wasn't a lot of grocery stores. They were very sparse in resource for people. And so taking students on field trips was something really special for them. And I remember this one year, we were working on a project across the whole school focused on water. It was when I taught at a science school, and I was the English teacher, but all of the things that we taught in English and literature focused on environmental issues and care for the earth, because that was what the theme of our school was. And so we were doing this water project, and each kid had a different project they were working on, and we were trying to find field trips that we could take the whole student body on so that by the end of the semester, everyone had been able to experience in real life something that would help them with their project. And so this particular day, we were taking a group of kids to go and hear a talk at a state beach called Silver Strand in San Diego. And as we were driving, I asked the bus driver, could you please drive us over Coronado Bridge? Because it wasn't on their usual route. You can get to, some people don't know, but you can actually get to Coronado Island not going over the Coronado Bridge. And that was what the driver was going to do. And I said, hey, I got a busload of kids. A whole bunch of them have never seen the ocean. And from the bridge is like one of the best views of all the harbor and the ocean of San Diego. Can you please break the rules and drive over the bridge? And he did. He drove over the bridge, and the kids were glued to the windows. Some of them had never seen that much water other than in a picture, right? Never in their lives could they even imagine. This is only 15 minutes from where I live. And it was a powerful, beautiful moment. I'm really proud of that work. And when we got back, or to the beach, we let them loose. We thought, all right, let's just let them run wild on the beach for a little bit. And I had kids running up to me, showing me seashells, showing me seaweed that had come up. One kid brought a dead lobster that he found down the beach. Have you ever seen anything like this, Miss C? Have you ever seen anything? Man, can you believe they had their big old heavy jeans, no matter how many times I told them wear shorts and something easy to take off your feet? Nope, they wore their whole heavy jeans and big sweatshirts covered in sand in their shoes. And I thought to myself, that's okay. They're bringing a little bit of the beach back with them. And it was an incredible day that for some kids turned their path of, I want to study something about the ocean. I want to study some science. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it was a moment for them that was so fruitful and so powerful. And I'm emphasizing this because I'm going to tell you later why I'm no longer so proud of that. But I was really proud of what I was doing with these students to take them out of their own environment, carry them across, and show them something really beautiful, something really stunning. And so I want you to keep that in the background as we pull our discussion questions up, because we're going to talk through as a community, and then I'll share with you my shift in how I see what I did then a little differently. So our first question today How does our scripture that compares the thriving of humans to the thriving of the land speak to you? Is the land that surrounds you thriving, or is it aching and choking? How do you know? How can you feel it in your own body? Second question, land needs tending. How are you tending your own land? And I'm putting in, that's in your body. And how are you tending the land that surrounds you? And then the last one, where do you have time for sacred rest in your life? And how does the earth rest? So in our questions today, we're pulling ourselves and our understanding of our own bodies as part of the land. We're pulling ourselves and the earth together in an attempt to make a moment of connection. Okay, so I really want you to dig into those questions. You're going to have about 10 minutes. And then when we come back, I'll share with you my reflection on my own story. Are we ready? Go. All right, friends, are we ready to come back? I let you go kind of long today. Does anyone want to share what I hope were some interesting conversations with the group? Thanks for the tedious movement of chairs. Anyone want to share what your group had to say before I tell you my new way of looking at what I did as a teacher? Going once. Did someone have their hand up back there? I thought I saw. No? No? You guys shared enough in group? How about Zoom? Anyone on Zoom want to start our conversation today?
Sure. We looked at all the questions, but we really did focus on like intentionality within our resting, within our care of ourselves, within the care of our land and the community, and how we, intentionally rest or speaking a hard truth so that you can then take, that care of yourself, because now that you've spoken it, you can go ahead and work on whatever that truth may be.
Thank you, Janelle. I appreciate that. I love the focus on rest. That's almost always the first step for us. It's lots of rest. Anyone else on Zoom want to share? Okay. Anybody here? Nick.
So we covered a lot of ideas, but I want to mention two of them. First, I thought of the milpa, which is a Hispanic sustainable agricultural farming practice where they maintain the land forever. With this farming technique, the land never goes bad, it never gets devastated. They grow corns, beans, and squash. The nutrients that each plant needs is complementary to the rest, and so the land always stays fertile, and they can let the land life follow for a few years after each farming cycle. And it was kind of the center of the community where it's practiced, and it was a great way to make sure that the land stays healthy. And then in terms of like land that has been devastated, I feel like a lot of times people look at devastated land and just say, well, it's nice over there, let's move down the road. And we just ignore that devastated land. And by having it at the table with us, that's the only way that we can heal it, we can restore it. Maybe we can decide we need to build something else instead, but it's our land too. And if we just ignore devastated land, I think our world just keeps shrinking little by little. So we have to do something with it. It's there, and it needs to be addressed and be at the table too.
Thank you, Nick. Beautiful thoughts. Those are some of the things that happen when we slow down and rest as a people, and we actually notice things that we wouldn't notice if we're going too fast. Anybody else? All right. Oh, Lauren.
We took a little different perspective on this and got into a pretty deep conversation about how maybe the land is like our culture, and that what our culture accepts or doesn't accept can can really make us, ill. The problem that we ran into was like, how do you change it, right? I mean, we see things like the church here as being one of those ways that we can talk about a different way of, looking at things and being open to things. But, how do you change the bigger problems that we see out there that really have to do with, our tolerance or intolerance?
I love that. Thank you, Ron. It can feel a little overwhelming, can't it? How do we change the whole world? And that's where are you going to say? Sure. That's where we have to turn to ourselves sometimes, change ourselves.
I was just reminded, talking about agriculture, that the fertility of our own bodies is the fertility of the land. We don't need inputs or outputs. We just need to stand still and poop on the land. Kidding, not kidding. Right? Like, actually, we're created to be a perfect blessing with the land because we are the land. We don't need to buy the thing, do the thing with the person, get the thing from over there, and we don't need to send the things over here or hide them or throw them away. Like, actually, we're created to be a closed system because we are a closed system. And, with the corn, beans, and squash, like, that's perfect reciprocity. Right? Like, those plants function together to create something that is perfectly nourishing for mammal bodies. Like, what a gift the Creator gave us. And we can participate with that if we want to.
I love that. Thank you. She kind of must have read my final point today. I'm not going to talk about pooping on the land, don't worry. But actually, the reality is, and I've shared this before, your waste is something else's food. Okay? And the waste of, say, the trees that breathe out oxygen, as they bring carbon dioxide into themselves, they breathe out their waste that you need in order to actually live. That's perfect reciprocity, which is the word that Caroline used to describe the farming practice that Nick brought up. That is what we're supposed to do, is find out, how can I give myself back to the land knowing I'm receiving from the land? How do we do this? Well, we're in a moment, aren't we, as a people, because we've been so disconnected from the land, completely and utterly for generations at this point. And so all the little things that we need to do to reconnect to the land feel really weird. Like when I tell you guys, go and put your bare feet in the ground. How many of you actually do that when I say it to you? A couple. I'm glad to see a couple, but most of us don't, right? We think, oh, that's silly. I understand what she meant. I understand she meant, yeah, the ground is sacred. But if the ground is sacred, then doesn't your bare feet need to touch it? Do you see? But you don't, right? That's what we talked about in our group is, I think it was Gary that shared, I know the things I should do, right? And I said, well, what are the things that delight you to do? Do more of that. Instead of beating ourselves up with the shoulds, all the things you should do but don't do. How is that helping you? Now you're not doing it, and now you're shaming yourself because you're not doing it. Does that help you do it? No, it doesn't, okay? And so it's literally a new way to talk to ourselves. And this is where I want to share a little bit about the story that I told you, but I also want to add something I wasn't planning to add in here, because we have a lot in our community who come out of high control religious spaces, and also some in our community who come out of narcissistic family systems, which actually acts just like a high control religious space, but it may not have religious dogma. And when you're coming out of those spaces, right, which many of us are, that's just the reality of our world, and not just in the church, but everywhere. When we're coming out of those spaces that sort of expected us to produce and be and always have the answer and always be able to have the response back when someone asks you this question, here's your response back to it. When you always had to be on like that, you guys, that's incredibly exhausting, to the point of it's truly abusive to our fragile and precious human bodies. And we absolutely need rest, which is oftentimes what's happening in our bodies when we feel exhausted and tired and down, is your body's tired because you've been through a lot. And you need to acknowledge, I think it was Angelina that said that this morning, you have to acknowledge what needs to be restored. And you couldn't hear her because it wasn't in the microphone. You can't actually restore the thing until you've acknowledged that it deserves restoration, that it needs restoration. Okay, so that's just a little side note I wanted to give us. And it's really important. And if you find yourself needing to talk about that in depth, please reach out to me. This is what I do. And it absolutely helps alleviate the exhaustion because you can actually put it on the table and look at it for what it is. Okay? But back to my story. How would I do that differently this year? Would I not take the field trip? No, I would take the field trip. But the field trip would be a little different, and it would be a little more grounded in the reality that those kids were from a part of land, a piece of land that holds them, that loves them, that might have a lot of concrete on it right now, that might have a lot of liquor stores on corners, that might not have the food markets and the open park spaces, but that they come from a land that deserves tending, and that part of themselves is the land that deserves tending. And sometimes it takes us a moment to pull ourselves out of our own world, our own surrounding land, and plant ourselves somewhere else, just for a moment, to see, oh, this is what it feels like. And then you take that moment back with you to the concrete jungle, to the place that doesn't have open air and markets and green space. And you begin to let that little experience you had be a seed that you plant, okay? For yourself and your own thriving, but also for the thriving of the community. So how would I have done it differently at Kearney High School in San Diego? I would have had us start a community garden, and I would have gotten the kids' hands dirty in their own soil. Does that make sense? Before taking them to other soil and now making them think that soil's better than this soil. No, it's not. It's not better than. Some soils have been better cared for than others, but they're all sacred. They're all part of this community, this earth community. And the more we see ourselves as deeply connected to it, whether we're in a part of the world that feels very like beautiful and verdant landscape, or a part of the world that feels like a concrete jungle, we have to recognize that the energies of that earth are in us, and they're for us to heal in ourselves. When you start to feel in your own self things healing, it starts to make itself out into the world. It takes time. That's what Jesus knew. It takes small communities to practice it together, to understand, oh, this is a better way of us living together. Oh, this is a better. It takes courage to speak out into the group. I don't know if I'm very good at tending my own land. It takes courage. And when we do this, immediately new pathways open. This last Saturday, or yesterday, I guess, Caroline and her husband Alan met with just me and Ryan here on campus and made a little bit of progress on taking out some of the invasive species and wandering the campus, talking about the irrigation systems and how it might need to get turned over and how we would fix this and could fix that, and making our vision and plan to sit down with our new building and grounds person and come up with a plan for this land right here. Not some faraway land, but this land right here that's within easy driving and walking distance for all of us. What can we do to turn this land into the garden that's ready to bloom and be part of this community as soon as we're ready? Does that make sense? And so Caroline and I have decided we're just going to start it. First Saturdays of the month at 9 a.m. If you are up for piecing your way through what it looks like to tend the land, then come and show up. And over the course of the year, it's going to get more organized, and we're going to have a better idea of what we're doing, and we're going to have a better vision. Right now, we don't have any of that. It's messy, it's really hot and uncomfortable, and it's very difficult work. But if you find yourself ready to get in there and tend to some land, come and join us on first Saturday starting at 9 a.m. We did it like yesterday. We'll be doing it again the first Saturday of October, though that will be abbreviated because we do have Pride celebration that will be happening. And we would love for you to come, whatever you have to give, even if it's just sitting in the shade of the tree and praying for those who are doing the heavy lifting and heavy work. That's still special. It's still part of tending the land. And in the healthiest spaces for land tending, all are important and all are sacred, whether you can do the most work or can't do any of it at all. Does that make sense? You are in the stage of your life where you are, and you deserve whatever it is you need in order to thrive. And so I hope that this little scripture today and our talk through it is helping you kind of encounter yourself. I hope that more of you will take your shoes off this week and actually listen and put your feet in the ground and ask yourself, am I feeling the energy of the earth come through me? And reminding yourself that that is what Jesus was trying to get his people to do. Because as soon as they remember who they are, then the path for healing of the community begins to reveal itself. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your discussions today. And I'm looking forward to how they're going to pop up in the work of the church. I'm going to invite the praise team forward for their song offering to the community.
Please stay seated as we sing through They'll Know We Are Christians. We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord, we are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord, and we pray that all unity may one day be restored, and they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our by our love. We will walk with each other, we will walk hand in hand, we will walk with each other, we will walk hand in hand, and together we'll spread the news that God is in our land, and they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love.
We will work with each other, we will work side by side. We will work with each other, we will work side by side. And we'll guard each one's dignity and save each one's pride. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love.
Thank you. Gary, I'm going to invite you up for our invitation.
At this table, we experience our brokenness and our restoration all at the same time. As Jesus gathered his friends around him, he knew that some were already fracturing towards betrayal, and yet he offered them his whole self. In a moment of respite and connection, he welcomed them without proof of their worthiness and without questions of their steadfastness. Following Christ's lead, at this table, the weak are lifted up and they experience equity, a moment for a moment, glimpsing God's final hope and intention of a world made whole. Amen.
Thank you, David. Sorry, I'm looking over here. Thank you, Gary. Would you do the communion, and I will share a little bit. So we're going to come forward in a moment here and have our communion collected. And today I want your focus to be the non-human community that's present. What's present at this table that's non-human and that's just as important if we are to live the way we're living. And we often put ourselves above the food that we eat, right? Don't we do that? We think of it as it's here for us rather than we're here for it. And I want us to think about bringing these elements into our bodies, into our systems, and thanking them for the nourishment that they're offering so that this might become a more reciprocal moment of communion. Are you ready? And again, for those of you who want gluten-free, just ask, and Gary has that for you. They'll get it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. On that night, Jesus took the bread and he broke it, saying, "This is my body, which is broken for each one of you. Take and eat, all of you." And in the same way, he took the cup and he raised it and he blessed it and he said, "This is the cup of the new covenant. This is the mark of doing something new, something different. Forgiveness is the mark of this new covenant. Whenever you eat this bread, whenever you drink from this cup, you proclaim my life until I come again." Would you please join me in the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. All right, we have a couple of announcements. They'll be brief. We have all of our groups meeting this week. I hope you'll join one of them. We have our choir information is on the table. You have anything new to add for that?
We will be starting our post-service rehearsals for 30 minutes next week. For those of you who I know have a music interest, who have already confirmed that you want to be part of this choir, you'll get an email this week. For anyone who has absolutely never done anything music-related and would like information on this, then come and tell me that today. But we'll start next week.
So rehearsals begin next week, but talk to Lauren if you're feeling a little nervous about joining but are interested, okay? We would love to have you. And on September 22nd, we're going to have our Equinox garden party that will be a lot of fun. We talked about last week, you're going to bring your own picnic for this. We're going to have ice cream crafting is what it's called. I can't wait to see what that looks like. And then if you would like to dress in flowers and fun garden party attire, that is also welcome, but only optional. You don't have to do that part. We hope that you'll join. I shared a little bit last week about the book discussion on Christian nationalism. That begins soon, actually today. That's the first day. So if you would like to join that, let me know. I haven't heard from anyone yet. It's also totally okay to say I don't have the bandwidth for it, but I'm interested, okay? So we don't all have to do everything, but if you would like to join, I'm going to pop on this evening for the study group, and let me know if you would like to pop on as well. And that's it. Also, look for the newsletter this week, right? I think we're going to be out tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? We're going to be out tomorrow. Lots of fun stuff. We thought it was going to be a really small newsletter, but it turns out we're really busy here. So we've got a lot of fun things that we're sharing and a lot of community voices this time. So thank you to those of you who wrote articles and little pieces. You're going to have a lot of fun things to see this week. And it looks like we'll get it out tomorrow. That's our hope. But this week, for sure. Okay, I'd like to have you all stand as we sing ourselves out this morning.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God our Creator, children all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my song of now. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Please join me in our benediction. Imagining together a world made whole is the first step. Once we imagine it, we can believe it. Once we believe it, we can work for it. Go now with God's peace, seeking restoration in the world. Amen. And join us for cake. Also, there's more grapes from my parents' garden that are out there if you want some yummy grapes. So enjoy that and have a good time with fellowship.